Just grab a link to share with everybody. Where's my stream? Crypto Down Under. Here we go. Could this be the pivot we're looking for? Copy. Dump that into the chats. General chat. I put it in my announcements section at everyone. Cool. All right. Let's get stuck into it. I'm gonna wait for some more people to show up first, and then I'll get into it. But we got three people so far. That's cool. How's the music? I feel like I need some more upbeat music, something a little bit faster. I could, maybe I could like turn on the old school music that I used to play all throughout last year, all through my other streams. And that might bring a little bit of a level of nostalgia back to the, back to the stream. All right, I'll find it. I'll find that music. And this is it. Let me know if the if that music's too loud. Just write a comment in the chat and just let me know, and I'll adjust it, because it's probably a little loud. It's not loud in my ears though, which is different. It's weird. And the audio might not be. Let me just check something. Because I think, yeah, microphone noise removal. You might be able to hear my fan in the background potentially. So I have to check if that's the case or not. 1 second. See where my microphone's pulling mic from. Settings. Mic. I think it's just in the inputs, isn't it? Audio input. General. Audio. Device. Look, we'll just make do. You can hear me, so that's the main thing. What's up, Rick? Look at purple PR, Purple Pepe. All right, I'll check it out. But first I'm gonna look at what happened over the last 12 hours, because it was pretty, it was pretty wild. There was a big dip, seemingly, and I want to discuss it. Because yesterday there was a line in the sand that I drew. If some of you remember that, I was on the 4-hour chart and we were analyzing market structure. So I'm gonna check that out. 1 second though. Movement smoothing, mouth movement smoothing of the webcam. I'm just seeing if it's tracking my mouth, like when I'm talking. Just want to see. Maybe not. Maybe it's. I'm just gonna revert it. Oof. I don't know what happened there. Mouth closed. Global symmetry. Right, head. Revert. Now my eyes are all closed. Hang on a second. I'm gonna see if I can reload this. Let's load in the dog. There we go. For some reason his eyes are like squinting. 1 second, I'm gonna fix it. Close the app and then reopen it. Who remembers this music? Do you guys remember this music? This is my old playlist that I used to play on my streams. Yeah, the dog. Oh, he's back to normal. Thank God for that. Alright, that's better. Is his mouth moving with my talking? I think it is. It looks like it on my screen, but... Alright, let's get back into it. I was talking about the support structure of Bitcoin because we were climbing, and let me just notch this music back a little. So market structure, what is market structure? It is highs and lows. It is, you know, are you getting higher highs and higher lows, or are you getting lower highs and higher lows, or lower lows and higher highs, like all that kind of thing. So if you look across here, you can see from this, let's just use this low. This is the lowest point that we achieved since that high and earlier this year. That's the lowest low. So let's go from there. High. So we got a low and a high. Now we've got a higher low and technically a higher high here. Higher low. Higher high. Much higher low, much higher high, higher low, higher high. Now I'm gonna have to zoom in to get the actual pivoting in here, but you've got a higher low again, a higher high again. Now this, oof, where do we take it? Where's the next low? Are we gonna use this, or are we gonna use this anomalous wick? See, even if you use the wick, let's ignore it for now, but I'll go back. I'll address the wick in a second, but let's use this as the low, the next low. So higher low, higher high, and now oof, we're here. That's the last significant point that we've hit, and now we're here. Like we're pending on whether this is going to be a pivot or a continuation down. So. Now let me make this line a little more easier to see for you guys. I can see it just fine, but make it yellow. So just like I was expressing yesterday, market structure is a series of lows and highs. Now, have you noticed that all of the highs in this zigzag get beaten, they get broken? See how the price gets higher than the first point? That is called a break of structure, a BOS. Now let's put all of our structure breaks in red, like all of our resistance structure breaks, our highs, and I'll dot them when they get broken. So that was broken. This one, once again, broken. This one, broken. Very broken. This one, and you can see the rest are broken as well. We'll have to go down a little bit here to see that one. And then this one got broken too. And then have you noticed that the last high has not been broken. It's a resistance level. It's the all-time high. So that is the point to beat right now. That is blindingly the price to beat. So let's look at the lows. And these are all solid because none of them have been broken. All these lines. We got him. We got him. We got him. Now, because none of these lines have been broken, they come right out. Like they just go infinitely across the screen, you know, until the price comes and stops them, puts the stop to them. That's just how I sort of understand like supports and resistances. These resistances got stopped in their track by the zigzag. The zigzag terminates them, it breaks them. So there's that. Hopefully that helps. And that is my understanding of market structure. Now, let me pick out the rest of the lows here. That one's still intact. This one, okay, this one arguably was a double bottom, but it's still intact. It has not been broken yet. But let's look at this zigzag right here. This is the one that I was talking about yesterday, or the day before, whenever I last streamed, right? I think it was yesterday. That has been broken in the last few hours. Unfortunately, we've lost support on the bottom side. So we have changed the character. So the character was bullish on this time frame. And let's make that readable. Character was bullish on the way up, you know? And now, because we have broken the last line of support on our zigzag, that's called a character change. So we've switched now to a bearish character. And that's just how you read it. Like, some people might still be optimistic about price climbs and like reclaiming highs. It can happen, but something needs to happen. A break of structure to the upside needs to happen. And do you know what that structure is? It is this high here. So for this time frame and this context, we have broken the bullish character, and we've now entered a change of character to a bearish character. Okay, I'm going to write that into character. Now, whoops, now bearish. And that is not a bias, that is not, you know, a sentiment thing, it's just a structural thing, because we busted our last support on the zigzag. This bearish character can now be flipped if we crack back on and like I said, if we could beat that high, then we're looking good. Now let's just do some hypothetical continuation of this zigzag. If this happens, if you get like a lower high here and then come down and do another structure break, that's called a head and shoulders. That means we're in for further correction on Bitcoin, which is not, like, we don't want that. It's not the end of the cycle, but if something like that could spell some further, you know, correction to come, or even just more sideways, but that's that idea. Now, the alternative to that is it could do this. It could double top and make a higher low, which we still haven't broken above this last high. So we need to break that to change the character back to bullish, you know. And then the low it doesn't matter where the low goes, as long as it stays above as long as it stays above this low. So now whether you're on a bull character or a bear character of your zigzag, every time you either break a high or a low, it doesn't matter what trend you're on, it's called a break of structure, a BOS. So even in an uptrend, these are still called break of structures. You know, this was a break of structure. I won't label them all, but you know, all of these are called break of structures. So this was also a break of structure, but it was a specific type of break of structure, and that's a character change. A change of, I think it's CHO, change of character, like that. Change of character. I'm just thinking back to the indicator that I learned this off. Yeah, change of character, break of structure. So it's a pretty critical, and we're out on the 4-hour chart here. This is not this, and this is probably visible on the daily as well for Bitcoin. It's probably the same story. Let me just check. Let's have a look. Yeah, okay, so on the daily, what do we got? Just under 3 hours left of today's candle. We're heading into the weekend now. So that could provide a bit of stability for the alts to do their thing and recover, because they dipped pretty hard. But I'm going to delete these words just so that they're not, you know, blinding us. But yeah, like, okay, let's go to the 15-minute chart. Let's zoom in a little, and we'll unpack what has happened and where we've been and where we're going. So there's our character change, that dashed green line. We've changed the character to a downtrend. On this time frame, there's no question. This was uptrend, wasn't it? You can see that. You can see we were climbing on Bitcoin, and that was the last low. See that? There's a little hint there. There's the last low. You draw it across, it got broken right here. So on this time frame, we were falling already, like off the high, you know? And we haven't even changed the character yet to an upside. So even on just this local level, we need to get above this high to change the 15-minute character. See, every time frame is a different context of the trend. So you've got, you know, this 15-minute chart structure is different to the daily structure, and the 1-minute structure is different to the weekly structure. You know what I mean? It's all different contexts, and they're all important because they all mean something. It just depends on to what degree you're trading, like whether it's intraday or like day trading or swing trading across a number of days or a number of weeks. So yeah, things, even though this bounce has been fantastic, if anyone went long here and caught that, that's awesome. Like, that's a rally to take advantage of. But I want to see the structure, like, to get really positive about it, I want to see structure broken back upwards. Like, I want to see this, especially look at this white trend line coming down. You want to see that broken out of, like, you want to do something like that, you know, and that would put us above this high, which would change the character back to an uptrend. And then let's say it comes back and gets support off it, like an SR flip. So we had a resistance and then now a support. That would be awesome to see that. And then, you know, so we start winning battles on the lower time frames, because character shifts happen all the time on the 1 minute, and then they happen on the 5, then the 15, then the hour, 4 hour, daily, weekly, monthly, so on and so forth, right? So to convince the daily to switch back to a bull character, you have to switch each time frame before it first. Does that make sense? Hopefully. If we go down to even just the 1 minute chart, let's see how the 1 minute chart has its own context. you know, all of this was an uptrend on the 1 minute. You had structure. And then, oh, it got beaten right here. You changed the character back to a downtrend. You know, you were still underneath this high, which was the last high. You know, this high didn't beat it. So in there, you're range bound. There's no character change. There's no break of structure. You're inside the structure of a range when you're between 2 points like that. But we finally had another structure break, and it's just happened now, and that is down here. So we've broken structure again, and we'll see what happens. But this is my short-term / medium-term sentiment right now, and that is that we are downtrending. You know, relief bounces are great, and they make you feel a little bit better, but there's so much work to do to get back to like the kind of trend we were on. So right now, technically speaking, if you're scalping, if you're intraday, you should still be looking and, you know, maybe finding short opportunities, because this could still run into resistance and fall. So let's look at some altcoins. What about Dogecoin? Just to start off, because I am a dog and I'm a Shiba. All right, let me delete this shit. Okay, this is Dogecoin. It had its structure break a while ago. Compared to Bitcoin, Bitcoin had an uptrend for a lot longer, and Doge was actually more of like a warning sign to what was going to come for Bitcoin, perhaps. So let me just quickly disambiguate this chart for us. So we've got a low, a high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. And it was looking really good. Doge was climbing. We started to get lower highs here, but the lows were getting... The highs were getting lower, but the lows were still climbing. We're still making ground on the lows. The point that really sort of changed everything was this drop here, this little... And we just never really came back strong off that. And we couldn't even make it back to 43! We couldn't do it. We didn't quite make it back. It rejected us, and we are still feeling the pain of that rejection of 43. So here we are. It's down. It's downtrend. It's down dog. Down boy. Let's go to the hourly chart. Let's check. And yeah, once again, downtrend. Lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. And the structure is still down, you know. Another way to look at this is a completely different tool, but it helps describe the same rhythm, and that is the Ishimoku cloud. Now in Japanese, cloud is kumo. So kumo cloud, Kumo or cloud, this cloud is still red for Doge in front of it on the hourly time frame. To regain confidence, you want to see what's called a Kumo twist, and that is when the cloud twists from red to green and the price erupts up through the cloud. You know, it bursts through it. So right now the bias is still down for Doge, even though we had a nice bounce over the last 6 hours or however many hours that was. We're still beneath the cloud on this time frame. 4 hourly, down. Daily, up, but threatening to break the cloud. We haven't had a Kumo twist yet, but it is threatening to twist. You can see the top of the cloud is going down like that, whereas the bottom of the cloud is coming like that. So when it twists, this cloud will turn red if it twists, you know, and you'll get something like that potentially, like where the cloud switches color. But that hasn't happened yet, so we won't make that call yet for the daily Ishimoku reading. We're inside the cloud right now, so potentially we could bounce. A lot does depend on Bitcoin coming back, but as you can see, we're slumping again on Bitcoin. Like right now, we're heading back down again. So it's not, yeah. When you're in a downtrend, it's like, I know this seems awkward, but when you're in a downtrend and you're scalping, let's say you're intraday looking for positions to take, it's more favorable to look for shorts in a downtrend until the trend changes. Like, you know, if we get something like that and it pivots, like we get an inverse head and shoulders and we pivot back to an uptrend, then it's more favorable to look for longs, you know, of course, because the structure's there to support that approach. But right now, longs are not favorable on Bitcoin. Longs are not favorable right now. Now, I want to give you like just a recap of on the weekly on Bitcoin. Let me hide all the drawings, just hide everything. You can see we are dramatically up. We are so up. It's you know, the last low we had was down here on this like macro pivot. That's $50,000 basically. We would have to go down lower than 50,000 to break the structure of this bull market. So we are very healthy. We're very alive. Another retest that could be popular to look at is revisiting our resistance and flipping that to support. That would be a 74K essentially. Like, you know, if we're to zigzag down and correct further, we could see some relief off that level as a check, and that is a $74,000 retest before, you know, continuing the bull market. Very volatile, and it could take as long as this, you know. You never know. It could take a while to get that recheck and then come back up. You know, we could be looking at you know, halfway through the year before things get bullish again, if that's to happen. It's just a hypothetical. Or the more bullish scenario is that we, like I said, we get the ball moving and we break that high again. Like we come up and get back above it, and that would change us. It would turn the market back on, basically. That's kind of what it felt like with this candle. It felt like we've turned the market back on again, because it's been turned off for like 2 days. Like, we've been going down, but yeah, it's gonna take some effort to break things back up. All right, I keep repeating myself, I apologize, but for anyone that sort of just came in, maybe that helps. Dogecoin. So the alts, once again, Bitcoin is the dominant cryptocurrency. It is Bitcoin. Everything else is a cryptocurrency, if you ask Michael Saylor. So, yeah, the alts. Dogecoin. I haven't really looked at indicators. I've just mainly been talking structure. Can you see this falling? This is a falling wedge. It got completely invalidated, this trend line. Broken down. We've lost that trend line. So right now, is there any kind of structure that we should be paying attention to? Are there any lines that are giving us the hint of why it pivoted, or why it pulled up where it did? I don't know about that. I don't know about trend lines. Let me check. I'm going to use this line now that it's been invalidated. But that is a sharp pivot to look at, you know, and that's why I'm maybe connecting up to here. Could help. Could be something like that. That would be very miserable and violent if that broke down again and we invalidated that that trend line. That would be brutal. The poor dog, the poor Doge wouldn't like that. However, if you don't have any Doge and you're looking to get some, that's good news. So my position that I got into, 17 cents. As I said, I don't know if I said this yesterday, but I did rotate some of my profit from that trade out of Dogecoin into XRP yesterday. XRP did see a climb yesterday. It was an inverse head and shoulders that I played, and that was back over here. This was where I did it. I've already taken profit on it, so that money is now just dry powder. It's sitting in Tether. But this was the inverse head and shoulders setup that I was looking at and played. So I got in somewhere around here, and I saw a little bit of a rally. It wasn't fantastic. I was hoping that it would break out, but because Bitcoin was being corrective, it just didn't make it. We're now back in. Yeah, look, the last half an hour has been bad. Like, we've come back into the trend line now. So, and yeah, look at the structure. Look, we haven't reclaimed this high. We haven't broken back above, nor have we broken that high. We've got a new low. You know, it's all downtrend at the moment. A lot of things are downtrend, sadly, but it's okay. I don't think the market is over by any means, but you know, the market's swinging. It's definitely swinging around a lot, so there's a lot of trades to be made if you're a trader. If you're an investor, I wouldn't stress too hard yet. Maybe on the dips. Like, if you're like a Michael Saylor level convicted investor, dips are for buying. Dips are not for selling. Highs are for selling. Taking profit off highs. Take profit into strength, not into weakness. Weakness is not where you take your profit. That is called capitulation. You don't want to. That's what they want you to do. This is what the market makers, like the people that manipulate the price around for the purpose of building up their own stacks. They want you to capitulate on a downtrend. They want to break your fortitude. And you know, they do a good job of it, because I mean, I rotated some Doge out of Doge and put it into XRP for a little bit of a movement. But yeah. All right, let me have a look at the comments. I have to like look around my webcam right now because it's in my face. Storm arrived. Could you please look at cow? I want to short it. Okay. Let's look at cow. COW. Oh, and we'll go crypto. Let's just go cow tether. Go to the daily chart. Wow, it's only new. It's only like a young coin. Very volatile. Holy smokes. So you want to short it. Okay. Is there... That's quite a pump. I would be jumping down on a more sensitive time frame, like 5 minute, and just tracking the ranges when you're looking to short stuff, because this thing's it looks very volatile. So it's, you know, you could stop out easy or make a mistake on something that's so violent. But I would be looking at this low and this high. Whoop. And that is currently like an SR that it's using right now. You've got resistance here, which has now produced a support here. Now this will be a big tell. If you can hold that and rally back to the top, that would be support. If you lose it, now that could be a really nice short where, you know, it just loses its momentum and falls down. If Bitcoin falls like over the next few hours, maybe that's what causes cow to get turned into beef and lose the support there. Hopefully that helps you. But I wouldn't be jumping into a short yet on it because it's still got structure, locally speaking. All right. Does that help? Hopefully you're still here. The guy that was asking, was it Sim? S-I-M? Was asking for cow. Now someone else is looking for a TA on Anchor. Anchor, A-N-K-R. Okay. Let me look at A-N-K-R. A-N-K-R. Oh yeah, and very quickly, look for your trend lines as well. This one obviously got broken. That's a very sharp trend line. There was one over here that got departed from because it went parabolic, but that may be used in the future as a support. So just track your trend lines because they can help. They can help you with bounce points, things like that. So if you lose here, maybe that produces a point to bounce off. Does that make sense? And then obviously overhead on cow, you've got a resistance building now. See how that on the micro scale, let's go to the 1 minute chart. You can really see it on the 1 minute. You had a point, a pivot point, the extreme high. You had a rejection here, producing a line. So all you need is an A and a B to draw a line of a trend. And look, you had a C rejection. If you played the short on that, that was a really good trade to take. The C rejection, and how many percent is that? 3%. That's pretty good. It's not bad for scalping. Like this is 1 minute, the 1 minute chart. To pull 3% out of something on the 1 minute, you're doing well, I think. It just depends on the coin and how violent it's moving. But yeah, hopefully that helps. Track your trend, draw up your trend lines. I see there was a trend here that was trying to get established, and I bet you there was probably a reaction off it. Yeah, it's a bit of a stretch to pull it over there, but it's more so like perhaps that. And that got broken, and see how it price just could not fight to get back up on top of it. So this is how trend lines can give you a bit of an advantage of where things are flowing, where you can look out for pivots, that kind of thing. So I'll delete that. I think these are the two lines that really mean anything at the moment. Everything else got broken. And then you've also got your support resistance lines, which are important. These are the green lines. Let me make that red because it's a resistance. Green support, red resistance. Green buy, red sell. If you break the green, you don't want to be in a long. You don't want to have bought if it breaks. You want to do the opposite. You want to sell a broken support. You could short it. But yeah, think about everything like that. Hopefully that helps. You can apply this methodology to any chart, even stocks, even the stock market. So yeah, best of luck with cow. All right, let me go to, what was the other one? Anchor, A-N-K-R. Let's just go to the spot chart. And, ooh, this is sadly not a straight uniform line, but there is, can you see like the arc that it made? Like this? It made an arc. That's like immediately what my eyes get drawn to. It had an arc, and sadly we lost the arc and it acted as a resistance, and now we're here. So That's down on the 1 minute. Let's zoom out. Let's get some higher time frame context. The daily, wow. Anchor has been like a pump and dump. Look, pump, dump, pump, dump. So pump and dump just means that it came back to the point that it started at, you know, because it pumped and then it gave the whole thing back. It's not great. It's not a sign of strength whatsoever. Like it's just a bit of a pump and dump. So it is on the dump end. The good thing about Anchor is that it's come back into its long-term accumulation window, like roughly around here, right? These are moments of exuberance where the pumps get up on top of that range, but you can see the bulk of the volume, the bulk of the activity lives between these red lines. And yeah, you're getting value on Anchor. If you're looking to hold this long term, or even just get the next pump and dump, it's heading toward the buy side. Could this be an SR test? Because like, let's look more locally now that we're quote unquote in the bull market, right? If you look on the local level, this is the 4-hour chart. You do have a bit of an SR flip situation going on. So resistance here becoming support in the future. So resistance, resistance, possible support, potentially. So, and support over here. That could be what's going on with Anchor. So maybe a buy, but just remember, Papa Bitcoin is still has broken its 4-hour and daily market structure. So you're now in a downtrend, essentially, until we break a new all-time high. That is what's happening with crypto right now. It's in a downtrend, and I mean this on a 4-hour or daily context. Now, weekly and monthly, it's like the cycle. The bigger picture is still in an uptrend. We're still hugely elevated away from the moving average. Let me show you. Let's turn on the 200 EMA. Let's hide all of the drawings. Now this is let's go to the daily chart. Look at the daily 200. Look how elevated we are above it. There's such a huge gap. And in a bull market, you can come test that line. You can come test that moving average. Okay. Hopefully that helps. Does that help for Anchor? Where did I get to with that? Yeah. So potentially a buy because of the evidence of support, but just remember the influence of Bitcoin is not looking great for the next couple of days. Like it could produce further downside, and we could be coming to test some lower levels to check support. Remember, the big significant support that I was talking about was 74,000. Now, let's look at a really interesting thing, and that is the liquidity heat map for Bitcoin, because that's important. We want to know where things could potentially be pushing down to. Look how much liquidity was snapped in the last 48 hours. Like, all of this downtrend, look at all this. This is long liquidity below the price. All of this color below the price is long liquidity. All the color above the price is short liquidity. So if Bitcoin decides to push back up above 100,000, look how much liquidity it can wipe off the table. And that, if we zoom out, let's go to like a 2-week window of Bitcoin. Can you see all that color that got snapped out? All of that came to an end. And we're starting to build short liquidity above us now. Could that be recipe enough for us to move higher? Maybe. But let's go to the 3-month view. Let's get 3 months of history on the chart. Okay. There's a big bright spot down here, but this is very safe. This is down at $65,000, 64. So I don't think that's under threat. Maybe the rest of this color here could get stopped out because there's quite a lot of liquidity still sitting, you know, all the way down to 80,000. A test of 74K, like I was talking about, would take care of all of that long liquidity that's still sitting there. So that's where my head's at. I'm gonna close this now. Go back to the 3-day just quickly because that's more of a local view, of course. But yeah, look at that color above us. Like there's so much. I can see reason to go grab that. You know, this could be the fuel that gets us to come back up. If not, all of these people that have shorts open right now on Bitcoin are winning because their positions have not been stopped or liquidated. They're just in shorts and they're winning right now. So good job to them. I wasn't shorting. I was in the long. I took profit on my longs, but like some. I've still got positions open, but they are safe. They're not under threat. But I really don't want a round trip. That would be terrible. Anyway, there's still a lot of confusion in the air because things were looking easy, weren't they? They were looking like, yeah, cool, we're bull marketing, we're going into the new year optimistically, you know. Christmas is around the corner, and what do we get for Christmas? Freaking bag of coal. Like, it's corrected us back down. It's thrown us into a downtrend. So thank you so much, Jerome Powell. It wasn't his fault. It's it's the stock market. This is, I think, the primary driver for this move down was the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ and all the rest of the American stock market indexes. Look, this is the top 500 companies in the USA. Violent uptrend, like, wow, look at the growth. Where's COVID? Okay, here was the COVID drop. We sprung out of the COVID drop. You know, the governments around the world were printing money. The stock market loved it. All of this money still flowing around. Then there was panic. This is where the inflation was evidently, I'm not sure the date, but it got up to a 9.1% inflation rate. And they tried to say that it was transitory, which I think means temporary, and that it would fix itself. But then they realized, no, it's not fixing itself. We actually have to do something about it. So they started a very aggressive interest rate hike, which made things very bearish. You know, credit was becoming harder to obtain at a good rate. You know, the interest rates make it ugly. And what that does is that it improves this ugly number. And we're trying to get down to 2% inflation. And we are very close to 2%. We got very close. It went down to, I think, 2.3 at the lowest, and now we're back up at around 2.7. So the inflation's okay. It's under control. It's not ideal. It's not perfectly, you know, we haven't hit 2% yet, but I think it's come down enough to where the Fed has eased on the interest rates and they're starting to cut the rates. So I think the terminal rate that we saw was 5.5% interest rate, which is pretty high. That's very high. And now they've cut it down. I think it's now, what, 5.25 or 5.5? I'm gonna have to check that. I think I've got a chart for it too. Interest rate, here we go. US interest rate. Switch to daily. Okay, so you can see that we haven't had an interest rate of 5.5 or like above 5 since 2006, which was the environment that you know, maybe even contributed to the recession of 2008, the global financial crisis, thus birthing Bitcoin out of that. But yeah, look how similar, look at that, the tops of the interest rate switching reversal. And yeah, the cutting has begun. Interest rate currently at 4.5%. Currently at 4.5% interest rate off a top of 5.5. So we've already knocked a whole percentage point off the interest rates in the US. And markets are getting volatile, maybe based off that. There was a theory that interest rate cuts cause recessions and crashes. I don't think it's a direct causation. I think it's more correlation. But we're trying to get that soft landing. We're trying to get that soft landing where they can cut the rates without shaking the economy too hard. But anyway, let's zoom in on the last 2 years of price action. So that's, and this is the S&P 500. Look at that, beautiful uptrend. Is that under threat on the big picture? No, not necessarily. Look, let's just draw a big lazy zigzag coming up, you know, like there's nothing, like nothing is in the danger zone yet on this time frame. Let's go weekly. It's very elevated. That's kind of scary because look, this got very elevated too, and it started to round out, and then we fell. But we had a reason to fall here. That was the interest rates were going up. But now we're going through interest rate cuts, so it's the opposite. So this was all interest rates hiking. And right now we've actually been cutting already. We've been cutting the rates already for like, I can't remember when they started, maybe back in like September, October, November, December, yeah, around then. Anyway, we've been cutting and it hasn't caused a crash. We haven't crashed because of the rate cuts in a big way, you know. What we've seen, like, what, 2 days of correction? It's been 2 red days. Like, there was 3 consecutive red days over here, caused by a really low open on this candle, you know. So I don't think it's anything to be spooked about too hard. We've already got a big tail on here, there's evidence of it buying back up. Let's go down to the hour. That's this. Have we closed the day? Yes, we've closed. So we won't open until next week, Monday. I think that's a regular trading day. I'm not sure about the holidays in the US and what they're like, but this could potentially be a bull flag, you know, rally into it, consolidate down and then burst out the top. Maybe that's a bull flag. We'll see. We'll see how it cooks out. Falling wedge, falling channel, falling something. Something like that. Bull flag, potentially. So we'll see how we go. Maybe it does that. Maybe I'll leave that on the chart and we'll see if that follows it going into next week. This is Christmas week next week, guys. Have you done your shopping? Have you got your presents? I think it's on Wednesday, Christmas Day, so that's coming up pretty quick. If I can remember correctly, last year Christmas was kind of a nothing burger. Nothing really happened on Christmas Day. There was no big, you know, explosions upward or anything like that. But yeah, well, let's see what Christmas does this year. All right, someone's asking for Jasmine. What's up, Fatima? Where do I have that in my lists? I think it's up here. Jasmine. Okay. Let's go to the hourly chart. I think the last time we did some Jasmy update, we were looking at a trend line, and much like the rest of the altcoins, it broke down, sadly. Tried to get back to it, got rejected, and then yeah, it's in a downtrend. You've lost some higher levels of support, like you had a support here. So you've gotten lower, you've broken the structure, you've broken the character back to bearish now on Jasmy, and that's where you're at. To get things, like obviously on this time frame, you know, let's just sort of like smooth this out a little, but you know, that's been the trend, the zigzag, right? Even down to here, that was still holding lows like higher than the previous. So low, 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 low. That trend line and that structure was looking good until you broke it. Literally only a matter of hours ago, you broke it over here. So you've lost the low, you're lower, so you've now got a downtrend. Now, when you're in an uptrend, you look to the lows to keep the uptrend alive. Now, when you flip to a downtrend, it's the opposite. You look to the highs, you know, because you wanna break the structure back to the upside. So to do that on Jasmy, you need to get up on a macro scale. You need to get up above this level, which is basically 5 cents. You want to get above 5 cents again to even look at this high. I don't know if that's the all-time high, but yeah, this has been thrown down by the market, like but yeah, zooming out on the weekly, let's go logarithmic and then linear. Yeah, it's still health, like it's making gains on a higher time frame. Like it's still on a growth trajectory. So this is why I say, like, on the macro, a lot of good stuff is still growing. Like it's still, yes, it's been ugly the last couple of days and things might be threatening to get lost on those time frames, but we're still holding some ground. And overall, like from a cycle perspective, we're up uptrending. That's the general direction of the market at the moment, is we're still going up. So it is just a pullback. It's not threatening the bull market, I don't think. And then, yeah, I wouldn't look to Jasmy to define what market we're in. I'd look to Bitcoin more so. And I'm not too concerned at this point about the high time frame structure. Like I'm still this is all very bullish. We have not killed the trend. We haven't killed the bull market. All this pessimism that I'm talking is just local. Like it's just down on the, you know, the time frames below the day, you know. So this could take, you know, I don't know. I don't have a time frame of when this will recover back to the overall uptrend, but you know, it could take days. It could take a couple of weeks. It could take up until January, like, which is not far away. It's like what, 10 days away? You know, we could make a lower high and then a higher low, which would be a squeeze. That could be another idea. Like, check this out. Let me grab yellow. We could start doing something like this. Is there any, I just want to look for uniformity between our dramatic lows here. Is there any kind of, let me just change this color so even I can see it. Make it a bit thicker. Okay, that's better. Yeah, could maybe link it there to that point as an anchor point. And does that provide, not quite, it's a little bit off kilter, but anyway, you get the point. Maybe let's just start it from this aggressive wick and then link it up to this wick down that we had, and then maybe we get something like, because the structure is yet to come, we have to wait for pivots to be able to draw lines, but this is just a hypothetical. Like we could triangle like this and then, you know, essentially do this, you know, like where we consolidate up until into the new year, and then we rally out, and then that is the continuation potentially of the bull market. You know, we could just be undergoing a squeeze, because now squeezes happen when the market doesn't agree on where to go next. Like there's confusion, there's indecision. That is when we go sideways. So we actually spend more time doing that, like being undecided, than actually going anywhere. We spend more time consolidating in the charts than actually making progress upward. I mean, you only have to look to the past to see that. You know, we spend most time zigzagging sideways, but I'm gonna delete some of these lines. We do have supports coming up. Yeah, there's so many pivots that we could bounce off potentially, but yeah, like I said, we're now looking to the highs, because the highs have it. The highs are what we need to break back above to get the character change that we're looking for. If you're an investor, if you're a day trader, this doesn't even matter. Like this stuff, who cares where the market's going? Like you're just trading the action inside of the day. So yeah, I understand like why that is an attractive way to participate in crypto intraday, because you have the safety of going back to cash when all of your trades, when you've done trading for the day, you're back in cash. You go to sleep, you rest easy, you wake up, you look at the trends of the day, and you look for opportunities, whether that's long or short, and you just play the day. So that's the attraction of scalping and day trading, I understand. Swing trading, that's another discipline altogether as well. And then investing, that's a big patience game. That's another discipline again. So I would say there's three primary disciplines in crypto and the stock market too. All markets: scalping, day trading; swing trading, which is finding like higher time frame pivots and movements; and then investing and playing the entire cycle, like which can last years. You have to be patient with that. And so right now, yeah, look at the swings. By the way, I'll just give you like the context of swinging would be like someone that identifies a low here, like a pivot, and ooh, I'm gonna play the swing. And then they ride all this action, and maybe they wait for a structure break to the downside, which was caused by this wick because you broke structure, and they take their profit here. That's a swing trade. Or even just locally, like these are swings. That's a short, that's a take profit, that's a long, that's a take profit, and that's over the course of a couple of days, 2 or 3 days. These swings happen. Every pivot is a new swing, like a new swing. So there would be people trying to catch the swing back up because we've just dipped. What do? You buy the dip and then you ride the swing. Hopefully we swing back up. That would be fantastic. And if we can get above the high, even better. Like if we can go back onto bull mode, hell yeah, But right now, it's yeah, we're just looking for some confirmation that this low is in. Can you see how like the lows here got broken? This is what a swing fail looks like, where they push it just beyond to freak everyone out, break the structure, and change everyone's outlook on the market. Because mine has changed technically, like from a technical perspective. We've lost these lows, so I have a bias of short-term downside. Like, that's just what's happening. I didn't say it's not because of me, it's because of the market. It's the chart. You can't argue with the candles and with the chart. The chart dictates what happens, not you, not anyone, not any analyzer in, like, you know, technical analyst. They do not tell you what's happening. The chart tells you what's happening. So we're just here to read it and identify what's happening. So right now, what are we on the 4-hour chart? 200 EMA. Zoom in a bit. We're trying to look, see that 200 EMA, maybe we're trying to come up and hold that and use it as a support. I want to see on Bitcoin, I want to see this trend line that I have here descending. I want to see that broken before I get excited, you know? I want to see that broken. Because right now we're below it and we're threatening further, you know, structure breaks to the downside. So yeah, it's pending recovery. It's pending a bounce on this intraday short-term price action. Let's go to, look at XRP. XRP is maybe trying to break out of these big lazy trend lines coming down. See, this is what I want to see on Bitcoin. I want to see Bitcoin come up to its trend line and start busting it and breaking it down so that it can turn a leaf and break structure back to the upside. It would be really cool to see XRP pull away from Bitcoin and do its own thing, like, you know, rally off its own effort and credit, right? Because you've got the makeup of a potential inverse head and shoulders on a higher time frame here. So this is the hourly chart. Now, I'm not saying this will happen, but this is hypothetically what could happen, is you have this low, that lower low, and now you're starting to create a neckline. You see where I'm going with this? And then if you make a higher low, let's say you get back into this falling wedge and find support off the bottom of it, and then come back up and break out of the falling wedge and do that. That would be a confirmed inverse head and shoulders play right there. The neckline being this, you know, roughly something like that. I know it's early. We haven't even like drawn in the right shoulder yet, but that's just an example of how an inverse head and shoulders can pivot the swing, the market, and that would be an awesome trade to take, you know, to take you back up into the highs for XRP. Sadly, I was tracking this big bull pennant on XRP and it got invalidated. You see where it got broken? Right here. Price got through it and busted through it, sadly. Not to mention we lost all of these lows. They got lost a while ago and we broke structure to the downside. And remember the bull flag? The bull flag actually played out. You know, we started to came up and bounced off the flipper and we were looking good. We actually came up nicely. But yeah, Bitcoin ruined the party and now we're back down, testing previous lows, you know. But that's crypto. There's no guarantees of anything. You just have to play it as it comes and respect trend lines. And when price violates a line, that line is no longer producing the structure that you're hoping for, you know. So you just have to obey the candles. The candles tell you. You just have to know how to read them. I bet you, like, I remember what it was like seeing, look how nice this bounce was. Like, we fell from up here and we came down violent. This bounce was really nice. Like, but the problem is some people think that the show's back on the road because of this, like how big this bounce was. That's not the case yet. That's yet to be seen. We have to get above that. We have to get, let's get above $2.35 before we get really excited. And that could happen, could be on the cards. And not only that, you want to start seeing higher lows again, because that's a low. We've had a series of just lower lows. They've all gone lower, 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 down, down, down. So that's been, and not to mention the highs getting lower. Yeah, we're falling. We're in a falling wedge. Falling wedge, which got violated, sadly, here. Like a lot of things got violated in the last 48, 72 hours, something like that. 3 days, 2 days. A lot of things got broken, and we now have to reassess. We have to recoup. We have to regather and figure out what's next. And that's what this stream was kind of about. Just trying to figure out where we stand. And hopefully it hasn't added complexity and confusion. Hopefully this has been a stream that has given you a bit of reassurance, perhaps, or we just had the turn of the hour, so we've got a new hourly candle now. Bitcoin has a hammer on the 1 hour. You see that? It's only on the 1 hour chart. It's not an incredible deal, but it could produce a pivot to come and get back on track with climbing. We'll see. We'll see. That's yet to be seen. Remains to be seen. I have to work today. I've got a 9.5 hour shift. That's gonna be fun. And I work in retail, and it's Christmas time, so wish me luck. I'm gonna be very tired tonight, I think. 9.5 hours is a long way. For standing, and that's a standing up type job, on your feet all day. One good thing is, at least I'm not out in the elements. I'm not out getting hot in Australia in the heat. I'm in air conditioning, thank God. I'm very grateful for that. But yeah, anyway, it's going to be a big day ahead. Hopefully when I get home from work, there's going to be some exciting stuff to talk about with the market. Like if the market has changed the story, like maybe Bitcoin can get out of this trend line. This one that I'm highlighting right now. Is there any downside trend line? There kind of is, by the way. Something like that. It's like a funnel. We're falling down in a descending broadening wedge. At least on this like 15-minute chart, that's kind of that's the boundary box at the moment. Yeah. All right, guys, I'm running out of steam. I need to go get another coffee or something. Thank you so much for tuning in. Appreciate all your support. Remember to smash the like button. If you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing to the channel. This is roughly the sort of theme that I'm going to be, or the sort of approach that I have to doing my streams. Just you and me, YouTube and me and the charts, and we'll see how that pans out. There are, previous streams like, that I hang out in Discord channels, that kind of thing, which is cool. And I have gone down the 24-hour stream approach, like where it's just an open channel with people talking. Maybe I'll go back to that at some point in the future, but for now, I'm just going to do it like this, around about an hour stream, and just analyze the market and update as often as possible. But thanks again, guys, for tuning in, and I will see you on the next stream. Have a good day. Have a good night.